Shop. Today we are making paint your own cookies. Let's get piping.
This isn't the most perfect looking cookie in the world, but I needed to use up the last of the dough, which is always a bit drier because you've been incorporating so much flour into it as you roll it and re-roll it out. So I thought, what better way than to make a paint your own cookie for my daughter? Using a bit of a thicker icing consistency, I am piping a border along the edge so we avoid any potential overflow. I really recommend this, especially if you are just starting out making sugar cookies. We are flooding our cookie now with a little bit of a looser icing. I added maybe just a couple tablespoons of water to my piping icing. And I am swirling it around to the edges with my cookie scribe. You, of course, do not have to use a cookie scribe. You can use a toothpick, which I used for years and years, or you can use some other cake decorating tool or a skewer. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn when I first started decorating cookies was that you actually use a lot more icing than you think you will. And it is the absolute worst when you're on the very last cookie and you run out of icing. So that's not something I can teach. It's just something you're gonna have to learn on your own. I let that first section dry a little bit before I add this second one, just so I have a nice little indent that's going to separate the paints from the actual picture. If you are making several of these cookies, I would suggest that you fill up a piping bag with your flooding icing and flood your cookies. It is a lot faster than what I am showing you, but since I'm only making one of these for my daughter, I'm just using my cookie scribe to lay down the flood. I must pre-warn you, I thought I was recording the next part of the video, but in fact, I did not have any footage of me making this beautiful cupcake. So instead, you'll just have to watch me pipe this heart. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of an issue with my piping bag there. There was some sort of clog. That happens. I just went back, fixed the clog by squishing it out, and continued on with my heart. I also wanted to mention that this consistency of icing that I'm using is a little bit looser than the border icing that I previously used. I wanted it to turn out a little bit thicker, so when my daughter paints this, she won't have to worry about flooding of any sort. You can choose any icing color that you want. I chose black because it looks more like a coloring book. I piped out these hearts by using border icing and then flooding them just as I have shown you, and they have been setting for a few hours. And here I am airbrushing them with the colors my daughter chose. Once those have fully set and dried, you can adhere them with a little dot of royal icing and place them onto your cookie. If you do not own an airbrush, then you may choose to paint on the color with edible gel food coloring. It'll do the exact same thing, it just takes a lot longer to dry. Since my daughter's preschool is closed indefinitely for the rest of the year, I thought I would take this as a fun opportunity to review her name with her, making sure to use upper and lowercase letters. Let your paint your own cookie creation fully dry before giving it to your kids to paint, and all you're going to need is a cup of water and some paintbrushes. If your child is super detail oriented, then I would suggest you add a few more colors to your palette. You'll notice that some of the colors we used are a little bit sheer, and that's because we used a sheen for our airbrush instead of opaque colors. If you want a super vibrant picture at the end, then I suggest you use opaque coloring.